Yeah, let's dive into staffing. That seems to be the big challenge that everybody has. Talk to us a little bit about before March, how were you from a staffing level, and then during the pandemic, in terms of at the height and where you're at now, how you've worked with staff, kept staff, maintained the level that you needed, and then where you're at today.
Yeah, so we're always hiring, right? I mean, this is a revolving door type of industry, and we're always hiring. I've always got jobs up. We were staffed fairly well, and I try to be overstaffed as much as possible for various reasons, but I try to be overstaffed. It just allows us some flexibility with the people that we have. But we were staffed pretty well as we were entering into March. And then obviously this happened, and we were overstaffed, right? Because 30% of our business pretty much said, "Hey, let's hit the pause button until this business is over." So we hit the pause button. Now we're overstaffed, and we lost a couple people just to natural attrition, and to folks who really just didn't want to be in other people's houses, and that was probably okay from a staffing perspective, given the business had paused. And then as we started coming out of it, you essentially have the government that's paying everybody, and I never laid anybody off. We didn't furlough anybody because my thought process when this whole thing happened was, one of two things is going to happen. Either this is going to be over in a minute and everything's going to resume, or it's going to be however long. And what's going to happen though is once it's over, everybody's going to say, "Hey, I need my house cleaned. Like, come on back." And so my concern was if the latter happened and we didn't have the staff, then we would be in a tough spot, right? And so that's exactly what happened. The business started coming back. All of our recurring customers came back, and they brought their friends. And then the real estate market went bananas. And so we're selling houses left and right. We're cleaning, doing deep cleans. We're doing maintenance cleans for when the houses are being shown because, we want to maintain that house and make sure that as people come through it, we clean it behind them and disinfect behind them, all that stuff. So we're running 7 days a week. And then also Airbnbs literally went off the deep end. They stopped. May this year, where people usually start going out and doing Airbnbs, we hardly had any Airbnb business in May. And then in June, they flipped a switch on, and we probably had 150 bookings that came in overnight, and we had to essentially adjust for that. So now, think about it. Go trying to get people to work when they were sitting around getting 600, 700, 800 bucks a week. And listen, I'm not saying that bailout wasn't appropriate. It absolutely was. People needed to keep working if they could, and if they couldn't, they needed to maintain their families. So now I need to get people in to work. Everybody says, "Hell no, I'm doing just fine how I'm doing." And so
Can you blame them?
Oh no, and I guess it's hard because I wasn't in that position, and I don't know what it's like to be in that position. But I could assume that, hey, listen, my life's actually probably pretty darn good, maybe even better than it was before this thing happened. So I'm going to ride this train as long as I can. And it's hard for me because I own a business, as we all do, right? And I own a business. So I'm like, but wait a second, my business is going to flounder if I can't bring you in. And then after this is over and the money ends, those people who were hiring might not be hiring anymore. So the job you want might not be there anymore. So it was a tough place to be. But I'll tell you, before the pandemic, we had a bunch of jobs posted, and I was getting 30, 40 applicants a week. Throughout the pandemic, that dropped and dropped and dropped. And I'd be lucky, honestly, and I have 5, 6, 7 jobs open right now. I'd be lucky if I get an applicant a day. So we're having an issue bringing those people in. So I'll set interviews. People just don't show for their interviews. It's really a way to make sure that they continue to get those checks, whether it be unemployment or whether it's the check from the government for the pandemic issue. So it's very, very difficult. If I had 2 more teams that I could run, we'd be able to service those people who are asking for service within a week. But I can't get them in here, and we've got a great environment. My staff is paid on commission. They're not paid hourly. My staff makes more money than probably any other cleaning company around. And in this industry, that's, a lot of people are paying $10 an hour or $11 an hour or paying by the house. I mean, I had an employee this Friday is a payday. I had an employee making $1,800 this past payday, this pay period. I mean, that's a lot of money, and I'm all for it. As the owner, you would think that I'm cringing that somebody's making that. I'm all for it. If I'm going to blow out any budget, I hope it's my compensation budget, right? Because that means people are happy, business is booming, we're growing. So that's fine. I'm all for it. But trying to get people to come in, it's hard. It's the biggest struggle I have.
You may know him as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I know him as just a man who has done incredible things for the last few decades. But how can you use his techniques in your business? I'll show you exactly how. Head on over to ZackMillerSays.com/The Rock, and you can smell what he's cooking.
I don't think we're going to get old.
Say what?
It will never get old.
It will never get old. It's always interesting seeing that commercial. So.